Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about the beginning of my journey 5 years ago, and this actually precedes the raw vegan, the plant-based thing. So just thought I would share with you because I'm kind of coming up on a little bit of an anniversary of sorts. Man, I'm trying to get some colorful locations on this property, but this wind is killing me. It's so windy these days that I just get, there's certain places I try to sit down, but I'm afraid it's going to blow my tripod over and mess up my iPhone, so can't do it. So anyhow, I just found this place, got a little nice, because the scene is beautiful right now. Gorgeous blue skies, which brings out the greens and everything, as you can see behind me, these lovely colors. So anyhow, let's get to it. 5 years ago. Now, like I say, this sometimes I tend to forget this one because it's not when I went plant-based. It's not when I went raw vegan. But it was definitely probably the most crucial time of my health journey. If you watch many of my videos, you've probably heard me talk about I was a hardcore drinking drunk for some 30 plus years of my life, and up until 2012, and it was in January of 2012, and I distinctly remember the last time I was drunk in January of 2012. Like most everybody, I was going to do the New Year's resolution and start getting healthy on January 1st. Well, I think I was pretty drunk on January 1st, and I was just a few weeks getting on to things. So it was about the third week in January, because I remember it was the AFC NFC playoffs to see who would go to the Super Bowl. Went on a bender, probably a 3 or 4 day bender, and ended up under the covers of my bed, just like shaking, from all that alcohol. Because when I did binges, I did major binges. I'm not talking about going out and doing a few shots at night. I'm talking about drinking through the day, through the night, passing out, waking up, drinking to take the edge off, that kind of stuff. And if any of you have ever been drinkers out there, you know that generally when you're doing that, you're not making the best food decisions. I always wanted grease. I always wanted grease when I was a little bit drunk or when I was hungover. For some reason, I had this idea that the grease kind of soaked up and helped you get rid of the hangover, which meant that I was eating some of the nastiest foods in with the drinking that there was. And also I went through periods, because I wasn't total, I stayed in shape a good bit of the time. I've gone to the gym for a fair amount of my life, and I would kind of do this thing, so I probably wasn't getting crap for nutrition, where so I didn't gain weight. I would drink and I would skip meals, and I could, you could just tell it. So anyhow, I knew that this was the year I guess if I'm 52 now, I was 47 then, and I just knew, that I was going to have to pay the piper eventually for all the drinking and all the, abuse that I put on my body throughout the years. So that like whatever that Eureka day was, I think it was the Monday after, I had to sleep off. Like I slept off the after effects of a drinking binge, and then boom, I stopped the drinking. I was smoking cigarettes at the time, so I decided, let's don't try to go too quick. So I said I smoked the first week. I stopped drinking, got the drinking out of there, and I smoked the first week. And then after the first week, I laid down the cigarettes, and that was it. Haven't smoked a cigarette ever since. Now, it's my early stages are very interesting, and maybe you can take something from them or whatever, but I think our body, if we're truly seeking the health of our body, which I talk about and repeat over and over in videos, that our body will instinctively find what's best for us. And before I was even watching any videos on a plant-based lifestyle, much less raw vegan, my body was instinctively going more and more plant-based. In those first days, almost as soon as I quit the drinking and the smoking, I started eating differently, and I started researching. I started doing a lot of searches online. But as far as the eating goes, what I started doing was I cut the animal products drastically, and I started adding a lot of fruits and vegetables in there. I had read Fit for Life or I think it was, is it Fit for Life with Harvey and Marilyn Diamond, years and years ago, 25 years ago or so. And one thing that always stuck with me that's part of their program is fruit until noon. So I did that a lot. I had a lot of fruit until noon. Now back then, yes, at the time I was still thinking yogurt was healthy, so sometimes I would have my fruit with a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of granola. But most of the time I was doing fruit till noon, fruit, smoothies. I was doing a lot of salads during the day. And I was doing a lot of, just cooking vegetables at night. Now at the time I was still sauteing stuff and I was still using oil. But I was still moving in a direction. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of those meals at night were like almost kind of like a stir fry of vegetables. So I wasn't eating the animal products. Very quickly, I had dropped to probably, I would say I was eating meat maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I was eating eggs 2 or 3 times a week, and when I would have those eggs, I would have the cheese because I was still in the mentality of, okay, let's do protein and a lot of fruit and salads with it. So I was doing, cheese omelets, but not a lot. Like I say, I was greatly minimizing that, and that was about all the cheese was about all the dairy. I'd pretty much let the milk go. So I did this, and I just kind of slowly was getting healthier, and just by doing this, I lost all the weight that I actually needed to lose at the time. I've talked about that before. I could have literally, the day I figured out I learned about raw vegan and I started practicing the raw vegan lifestyle, I would have been fine just to stay at that weight, but I dropped another 25 pounds because I didn't know what I was doing and I was not eating nearly enough on this lifestyle. But back to, I don't want to jump too far ahead, back to sort of the progression. Like I say, I went to Google. I wasn't using YouTube as much back then for my searching purposes. Now, obviously, when I would search things on Google, things would pop up that were videos on YouTube, but I was mostly searching on Google. So I started looking into stuff like antioxidants, things that were going to repair my body, detoxing the body, even though, I don't really go for all this never-ending talk of detox and everything is detox. I did know that I needed to get a lot of this stuff out of my body. I was starting to drink a lot of water because back then I was just thinking flushing. You drink water, it flushes the bad stuff out of your body. So a lot of my thinking was rather crude back in the day, but I was moving in the direction that was going to take me to the place. Well, I started learning about antioxidants and I'm taking a little bit of this. And I started back drinking just a little, but listen to the story. It was never got drunk again. But 2 months later, say in March of that year, I started, because there's good antioxidants, I started drinking 1 glass of red wine every night and I had a square of dark chocolate because I heard that was good for your heart. A lot of antioxidants in there. And I did that for about 2 months, March, April, May, for about 2 or 3 months until I did start hearing about a plant-based lifestyle, until I started hearing about the raw vegan lifestyle, and then I just gave it all up. I never touched a drink again after that. But like I say, and one piece of useful information I think can be taken out of this is that, like I say, without anybody preaching to me, and probably that would have pushed me in the other direction, that I was just kind of stumbling along in the dark. But without anybody telling me about vegan, plant-based, raw vegan, blah, 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 my body was instinctively dropping those animal products. My body was instinctively going towards fruits and vegetables. And you're talking about somebody here that's still, maybe a year before that was doing barbecue. I smoked meat for a restaurant that, did that sold barbecue through their restaurant. Wasn't doing anything like that full time. That was just an item on the menu, kind of a specialty item. But so I loved my meat. I've eaten plenty of meat. So everybody talks about their meat, and cheese addiction. Yeah, whatever, cheese addiction. Go to a meeting and tell that to a heroin or a meth addict, and they're gonna beat the shit out of you. A cheese addict, for Christ's sake. I loved blue cheese my whole life. I always said I could just sit and eat a spoon of blue cheese. I used to melt cheese in a little tin in the oven when I was a kid because I liked cheese so much. So, I'm not so yeah, I don't really, not a ton of compassion for the whole like my cheese addiction thing, smoking, heroin, cocaine, meth, cheese, really. Somebody will get angry at that statement. But anyhow, like I say, I just instinctively moved. And then when I got to the raw, things started really clicking. Of course, there was a lot of trials and tribulations to go through. I had to figure that out. And before I could figure that out, where I told you I should have stopped with my weight plummeted. I'm 6'2". My weight went down to like 143. And so I had to take that hit, and then start building up from there. Like I say, if I hadn't lost that, things would have been a lot different, but you can't go on if and what could have been. So, but I moved on, I moved forward, and I got stronger on this lifestyle. I learned a little bit. I filled some holes and gaps as I went, and gotten to a point where I don't know everything, but I'm thriving, and I'm constantly learning, and my mind is constantly open. And that's what was huge on this journey, is like I stepped onto this journey not knowing anything about plant-based. I was just about taking my health back and not having to pay the consequences of 30 years of hard drinking. And I was open, and I instinctively stumbled onto plant-based. So there's got to be something in that. Anyhow, I hope you can take something out of that. That's why I just decided to do this for a weekend video. So if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll hit that subscribe button and click the little bell and send notifications. And I hope you're having a great weekend. Love you guys. Peace.